you for choosing Gamer Coach. Your order's been successfully. Okay.
Hey. Yeah.
Desire.
Twitter. Hey everyone.
Alright. There was an error processing your order. What?
Processing order? That's weird.
You had placed an order for live session streamed.
Uh-huh. Processing order. Gamer Coach bot. An order has been... Alright, we're good.
We're good? Okay.
Yep. Let me just find the link.
Yeah, let me
and share the
try
link
to set
with
this up
Twitter.
right quick.
This is so convenient that you're trying to figure out the hand cam and all that stuff while I'm trying to remember how to stream. Because otherwise it's kind of awkward being 6 minutes. Like, I was eating pasta up until 1 minute ago. When my free session... Do I owe... Oh, hold up. If I owe you a free session, message me in Discord. Just remind me why I owe it to you. And we can do it, like, Sunday.
Alright, so we're good there.
Other than that, I'm not going to be talking to chat now that I am coaching. But yeah, if I owe you a free session, just message me on Discord.
Let me get some light in here for you.
Go for it. Alright, so let's see. Right now, we got this interesting gaming setup. So let's see. We got the monitor off to the side. Is there anywhere we can move the monitor where it's a bit more central and you don't have to turn your head to look at it?
Kinda.
Like, is that elevated platform above the mouse? Your PC is currently on that.
Yeah.
Can you show me... Can you pull the camera back out and show me how you sit in relation to the elevated platform?
So I kind of said, like...
So is the elevated platform directly in front of you?
It's like 50-50.
Okay.
So this edge is what I would say the center of my vision would be.
Is under that edge, is it directly into a flush piece of... Okay.
So there's this. I can kind of move it and then it would just kind of...
The other end of your desk, right?
Yeah,
is that immediately go down into a board, or is there...
The issue
like,
is...
can you show me under the desk, almost?
Yeah, the issue is this board.
Oh, that is a... But you sit with your legs between that board?
Yeah, I have to. So there's this weird-ass...
Okay, but there's no back of your desk. That's good, that's good. Alright, let me show you something pretty cool.
Alright.
Let me find it on Amazon.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get you some light in this mouse cam shit. That's the hardest thing.
I'm pretty good at seeing things without much. Alright, so... Hold up, let me just make sure. Check this link. Let's make sure this link works. You could try something like this. Or like, I think this is what I use. I think this is... No, this isn't my exact product. I'll try and find the exact one I use. Hold up.
Okay.
That's not...
I was gonna say, because I can kind of move my PC over a little bit and kind of get the monitor there. I'll try right now.
It's... What you can do is you'll have to move your PC, but you can buy a clamped-based monitor arm that lets you horizontally move your mouse. Like, I think this is actually... This is very similar to the one I use. I can't say if this site...
Let's see if this gets any better.
know if this site even allows you to buy things off of it, and if it does, I have no idea if it's safe, but just a design similar to that where it's like a pole, and then your monitor connects to the pole.
I think I kind of got it for you. Let me show you real quick.
Alright, that's it.
So, I mean, it's more... I wish I could see this
Looks like one of those mounts that lets you extend the height, but doesn't let you move the monitor very much horizontally.
Yeah, I'm trying to... Because I can kind of get it... I wish this video cam had more range.
Mm-hmm.
So, let me see. Let me see if I can unplug this right quick.
Yeah.
Route it around a different way.
No worries.
Okay, come down here. Where'd you go? Come up. Where are you gonna fit above the computer? Here we go. Okay. Got it around, and I can kind of show you. So now this is in relation to So
Yep.
there,
All
over
right.
here's that's the door. This is like, if I were to sit straight, no curve or anything, this is how it looks. Like no curve in my body or anything, just straightforward.
Okay, so the monitor is almost like just a bit to your right. That's not. Could
A
you
bit
get
to
it?
my bit
A
to my
bit to your left, yeah,
left.
that's what I'm on. Could you get it any more to the right? Would that like push your computer off the edge or?
No, there's a bar there. Let me try. Because there's a bar. The computer's not gonna fall off the edge. There's a bar to hold it.
Okay.
Just gotta move all these dongles for all these
I
mice.
don't know how long your average cord is, but if you could also potentially move the computer to like the ground next to the desk, and then your mouse dongle would just you put it on a USB extender. Or that
Yeah.
honestly looks pretty central. It just looked kind of awkward to have to always be looking left. Like that's kind of uncomfortable. It would force you to kind of turn your body, which could slightly negatively impact aim. I don't think it'd be the biggest deal in the world, but it would be annoying.
Yeah. I mean, I've been doing it for years, so I kind of got used to it. But I was always wondering if it had any impact.
I think the impact would come from kind of changing how you lean, which would cause you to change how you aim. I feel like you can definitely aim without your mouse really. Let's see. Yeah, I don't feel like you really need your mouse to cross the center line. Just doing it right now, feeling it on my own mouse pad. That feels like definitely towards my leftmost edge, so I don't think having the desk divided the way it is affects you too much. Though,
Okay.
what I could say is that I do find myself aiming very far left, because it's usually from a pivoting my forearm and rotating, that also leads to my mouse being really close to my own body. So what you could do is buy a cut up mouse pad or a regular big mouse pad, like a full desk mouse pad, and then just cut a slit in it for that little wall between your desk,
Yeah.
and experiment with that. See if you like that versus running two separate mouse pads, one under your keyboard and one under your mouse pad.
Yeah. I've just recently put the one on the keyboard because my wrist was starting to hurt from the
Yeah,
wood.
I was wondering why there's just a mouse pad under a keyboard, but I decided just not to question it.
Nah, you're all good. I'm open to questions, man.
No, I'm just joking with you.
All right. Let me turn this
All right, so let's see.
camera back on. See where it went.
So it looks like you're
Is
running some kind of fingertip grip, or if I'm correct.
kind of a claw fingertip hybrid.
So
So
you're
here's
moving
the
your fingers, your palms touching where it's comfortable to touch. You're not straining your
yeah.
knuckle. All right, that's a fine grip.
And then I've
Um,
got I've got multiple mice, so I was gonna ask you also like, because this is the ULX large.
mhm.
I've got a 10 like a 10 to 20 10 by 20 centimeter hand. I think that's the last time I measured it, so
Uh-huh.
I didn't know if there was a certain one. I mean, I've been splurging on mice recently, so you see the Terrac edition, the WO mouse, Beast X, and then the black one you can barely see is the ULX large. The Terrac's a medium, and then these are kind of similar in size.
Mhm. So
Not
in
sure if you're
my
from.
personal opinion, the best thing you can do, or the most important thing you can do, is have fingertip or like some finger motion. That's like the top priority with selecting a mouse, and stability. So pretty much everyone agrees that wrist, arm, finger motion should all be included in aim. And some people are like, but then if you run palm grip, whatever. I think it's very helpful to have your finger motion just because they allow for very precise vertical movements. That being
Mhm.
said, you need to, when you're using your fingers, the more control you give your fingers to move, the less points of contact you'll have with your mouse, the less kind of pressing into your mouse you have, the less stable of a grip you have, which is why you
Yeah.
want to tend to use a lighter item where you found a comfortable claw grip where you're not really straining your hand. You're still able to move your fingers effectively and all that. I'd say as long as you're stably able to hold the mouse, what just use whatever mouse feels the most comfortable and stable. Since you're able to move your fingers, that's all that really matters in my opinion.
Gotcha. I got some more light in for you. Let's hope that's not
Oh,
glaring.
nice, nice. No, that actually, that's fine. That's fine. It looks like your elbow's about an inch or two off of your desk.
Yeah, so
or above your desk. Do you ever find that you have to slouch down to compensate for that?
I've been finding myself like tensing up more and
Tensing
trying to
up,
slouch more, like tensing up like this instead of trying to slouch more.
slouch. What could you sit at what you'd consider a good posture, like with your shoulders back, but not like necessarily super tense, tight, uncomfortable, but just a good posture?
Yeah, that'd be, let me see, like this.
All right, so it looks like your works out to roughly flush with the desk. Is that one of those gaming like race car shaped chairs?
Yeah, it's a secret lab thing.
Um, you might want to consider sliding a pillow behind your back just to make it so that if you ever find like the wings of the chair get in your way, you might want to consider throwing like a little pillow behind your back. Those were designed for race car drivers to keep them
Yeah, I
relatively
was gonna say,
still, and then people made them for racing games, thought they looked cool, and kept going with them, but
yeah,
they're not optimal in my
that's
humble
what I was
opinion.
thinking. I got this like 4 years ago, and it's like,
Yeah. Yeah, I
but
wouldn't
yeah.
personally recommend those, but you're more than welcome to use them
So
if you
do you
like
think
them.
I should you think I should lower my chair because I can't raise
Um,
it anymore?
honestly, if I was to say anything, I'd say lower it, but
Lower it?
but your elbow and your arm look pretty much flush, so I think it honestly is fine. I don't think it's a problem. I was like
Yeah.
thinking about whether or not you should lower it, but if your elbow ends up below the table, that means chair goes up. If your elbow is so far above the table, you have to slouch down to aim comfortably. That means go down. But if your elbow's just at table height and you're able to move your arm around, that's usually pretty chill.
So that's pretty good.
Yeah, it's definitely a weird setup with the table and all.
Yeah, it's so annoying.
But other than the thing in between your legs, like the board between your legs, I wouldn't say anything about this setup's inherently bad.
Gotcha. Yeah, that
Um,
board's annoying. I tried cutting it out once, but it didn't work.
Yeah, that makes sense. Probably due stability. The board between the things, it looks like it's far enough back that if you just get a mouse pad that's cut to fit, that'll help. Like I don't think you're ever gonna be. It's pretty rare you'd be that far forward and that far left, in my
Yeah.
opinion. It'll happen. It's inconvenient, but if it's got to be there for the stability of that desk, it's gonna be for the stability of that desk. And if you ever want to buy a new desk that's an actual normal, comfortable shape,
Yeah.
that'd definitely be a good gaming investment. Though not everyone has the money to
Yeah.
drop a
I
new
was I
desk.
was looking I was looking at the secret lab desk.
Yeah, I
I didn't know if
definitely.
you had any opinions on those.
Personally, I run a homemade desk. Just a
Yeah.
sheet of plywood. I stuck some 2x4s on the edge. Not even 2x4s. It's actually pretty flimsy legs. But yeah, you can see like that desk in a video. I just set it up so that I could have my feet flat on the ground, my chair at a height that keeps my knees at a 90-degree angle, and yeah,
Gotcha.
and then aim around like that. So if you want to go through an Overwatch death, if you want to show me an Overwatch death match from your perspective, that could be
Yeah.
pretty helpful to like.
I got a widow headshot I was just warming up on if that's good
Nice.
enough.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Just like play using some of the weapons you'd normally use in game, and that'll be good enough. It doesn't have to be anything super strict.
I haven't re-downloaded OBS yet, so is the Discord stuff good enough or is that
Yeah,
bad?
that's fine. That's fine. I actually kind of forgot OBS had Discord screen sharing.
Yeah, so did you want me to play one or watch one I just did?
Um, you can. Let me think for a second. Well, you can just play one. Honestly, that's easy
Alright.
enough. Yeah, just play it live, and we'll talk while you're doing it. Same amount of time.
I get used to this new position. Feels weird.
Not bad. You were eliminated by Bow. Alright, so what I am noticing from this is that you have pretty solid static abilities, at least as far as the sniper goes. But from dynamic, what I notice you do a lot is aim right next to the person's head and then flick really fast to get onto them. And you want to talk a bit about why you choose to do that before I start giving too
I
many
don't
opinions?
really know.
Alright, cool. So that's fine. I was hoping that would be the answer. What I think it might be is that a lot of people don't have a ton of confidence with their ability to hit moving targets compared to still targets, because believe it or not, it's actually harder to hit a moving target than a still target. It kind of goes without saying, actually. But so what I recommend, okay, nice, that's good enough. We can switch to Kovacs now. So what I would recommend for what I kind of want to work on with you is your ability to hit moving targets with more control, because a lot of times, especially in aim trainer scenarios, what I notice with people who try to aim really fast onto a moving target is that they're not actually able to easily hit the moving target, so they're just trying to rush to hit it before it moves.
Gotcha.
So I'm gonna assume that you're probably doing something similar for similar reasons, which means that we want you to try to aim a bit, I don't know if the word, a bit more steadily, I'd say, would be the right word.
Gotcha.
Try to aim a bit more in control, like understand dynamic pattern moving, try to oh shit, you're right behind Aristotle.
Oh, I don't know those.
He taught Alexander the Great philosophy. Let's see, let's go to online scenarios. Let's see. So what I want you to try to do, I want you to try and just, we're gonna play Pasu. It's right down there. It's one of the top scenarios. For
5 targets. 5 targets.
yeah. We're just gonna run a scenario through this, just see how
Okay.
it goes for you.
Should I change? I got like weird presets.
Yeah, just
I
play
use
on
Maddie's
whatever you
presets.
want. I don't really care too much. My internet's good enough that I can see everything clearly. Sometimes I like, when I'm in school on school Wi-Fi, I like people going off like, what's the words I'm looking for? Probably not static. Yeah. I like people going on like as minimalist of colors as they can. But here it's fine with whatever.
Jesus.
All right. That is not great. So you want to take a stab at what like the really definingly noticeable bad thing you did there was?
Yeah.
Do you want? No, I'm saying, do you want to like take a guess at it?
Oh,
Yeah, like
I
at
mean, I
start.
was I was hesitating a lot.
Hesitating? No, that's not the issue at all. The issue was a lot of unnecessary movements. Like if you watch the first like 10 seconds of that run, you were moving towards the targets, back forth, like left right when the target's above you, slowly making your way up to it, shaking all around the screen,
Hmm.
which actually, you know what, hit done. Play 116 target small. Forget I said that and just play 116 target small and see what happens. All right, so there were definitely still some shakes, especially in the micro adjustments, which implies a lack of precision. But what you probably did notice was that you were shaking a lot less when aiming around. And
Hmm.
probably part of that was due to you trying to force yourself not to do it. But regardless, it makes me think that in Pasu, what happens is your issue is a movement reading issue. A lot of times people do have issues with shaking around in dynamic clicking scenarios. And the way to resolve that is hit done and go back to Pasu. What I want you to do, I want you to think about the target as a location more than you think about it as something with a velocity. Think of it as something with a position and just try to move towards its position, because if it's across the screen from you and going slowly to its left versus slowly to its right, that doesn't make a massive difference, especially with the amount of shaking you're doing. So just try and move in a straight line towards the target, and then you can start thinking about reading its movement and all that stuff. But for now, just make your flicks straight lines to the target and then micro adjust onto them.
Okay, so like, oh, what
Yeah, like that. Like way more efficient movements. You don't have to go back to the center after a shot. Sometimes you do that, but don't do that. Just go to the
gotcha.
next target. So the beginning was what we was actually like kind of beautiful. Like you were very smooth, very steady, very in control, very slow, very
Hmm.
nice. Towards the middle, you started missing a bit. You were still doing pretty good, but your micros were getting a bit worse. Your movement was just getting a bit worse, but it was still good. Towards the end, you started to pick up the pace a lot, but because you were applying straighter lines at that point, you were still doing pretty good, and you actually managed to increase your score a lot in that last little bit, just because you were able to aim faster while not having a ton of inefficient movement, but that also made your micro adjustments a lot worse. So the net improvement was positive because you were moving faster on the initial flicks with straight
Mhm.
lines instead of shakiness, but you had bad micros at that point, which is fine. I was expecting that. So hit done. Now we're going to switch to a scenario called control sphere. It's a tracking scenario. Sphere, just like the ball, like you throw out. Yeah, top one. Perfect. Yeah, just play it.
Ugh.
I want you to describe what you're supposed to do when you're aiming, or what you think you're supposed to do when you're not on target.
Not on target. Try to read it and flick back to its next motion.
No. No, that's wrong. That's close. But you don't want to think of it as a flick. You want to think of everything in a tracking scenario or a tracking game or anything as one continuous motion, right?
Hmm.
So you're never flicking back to the target after being off target. You're continuously, steadily moving to it. You end up off the target. You start continuously accelerating towards it. You move faster than the target, but not so fast that it's a flick. Like sometimes you'd be, because when you flick super fast, what happens is you then have to apply stopping power when you get close to the target to get to become able to track it again, right? And then you stop your mouse, so now your mouse isn't moving anymore, and then you got to adjust to the movement of the target, and if you slightly overflicked, you're off the target again. You got to repeat the process. If you stop for too long, you got to repeat the process. But if you're very steadily moving and smoothly slowing, playing with your acceleration, accelerating faster than the bot, but not by an out of control flick type amount when you're off target, and decelerating down to the pace of the bot when you're on target, what happens is as you get close, you always are getting closer to the bot when you're off target, which always helps you. So if you replay now, what'll happen is you'll find just accelerate onto the target much more steadily, much more smoothly, much more slowly, and that'll help a lot. Nothing makes me happier as an aim coach than saying something and watching someone get a 20% score increase just by doing the thing I said.
Yeah, my main thing right now is like it feels like my mouse pad feels like my arm's sticking to it, but I just cleaned the mouse pad
You
and my arm's a little hot.
ever consider an arm sleeve?
I did, but I was reading reviews on it. I have the Artisan Zero, and I read reviews where it's kind of like really crappy on that,
Which sleeve?
the Pulsar.
What happens is sleeves and mouse pads are both fabric items, usually. Sometimes people run glass mouse pads, but in your case, they're both pieces of fabric, which means they're a bunch of threads. So if the threads are both threaded vertically, what happens is it's almost like Velcro. Not quite, but there's a bunch of divots for in your pad for the threads of your sleeve to get stuck in.
Hmm.
So you start aiming left, right? Your sleeve will just get stuck in the divots of the pad.
Yeah.
But if you get a different sleeve, if they're both threaded vertically, if they're both threaded horizontally, same thing when you start moving up and down. But if they're threaded perpendicular to each other, what happens is now the threads don't have divots to fall and get stuck in. So just try
Hmm.
and find like a random basketball compression sleeve or something that's threaded opposite your mouse pad. Like look very close to your mouse pad with like a magnifying glass. Figure out if the threads are going up or down. And then once you get that, go to like Dick's Sporting Goods, find a basketball sleeve that does the opposite, and just buy that.
Gotcha. I was gonna say, I play with my artisan like you saw with the I have that cardboard piece.
Yep.
I play with the artisan I play it's up and down instead of the way it should be left to right. If
Okay,
that
so
makes sense.
honestly, if a sleeve, if the reviews on if it's up and down instead of left and right, so 90-degree tilt, if the reviews of a pad on Amazon are, or a sleeve on Amazon for that pad, or that it sticks to that pad, turning it 90 degrees will flip the threads so it won't stick to that pad anymore unless for some reason it's something else causing that problem.
Gotcha. So I should theoretically just so if my say the artisan's threaded horizontally, right now with it being 90, it's threaded vertically.
Exactly, exactly. Um,
Okay.
hit done. And let's go back to Pasu. So now that you've ran a good control sphere run with good control and smoothness, when you make a micro adjustment in Pasu, instead of thinking of it like a flick onto a Widowmaker, I want you to think of it as getting onto a control sphere, and then once you're on it, you just click it instead of having to track it.
Gotcha.
Ooh, that's nice. All right, so even there, you kind of had slow flicks, right?
Hmm.
You can speed up the flicks and still have the smooth micro adjustments. The flicks themselves are just, you can think of them as just cutting large amounts of distance.
Hmm.
The micro adjustments, like in a tracking scenario, are just when you're in a close range, small adjustment. Now you might be thinking, well, in tracking scenarios, why don't we use flicks to cover large distance? Because there's never a large distance in a tracking scenario. You're never moving more than like 5-10 degrees in a tracking scenario. In this kind of scenario, you might have to move like 20-30 degrees, aiming faster, not super fast, but a bit faster, where you're able to get between targets more quickly, can be beneficial. That, however, and being able to be smooth while aiming fast, combining those two techniques at once can be really difficult for some people when when like you're starting to learn the techniques. And I kind of get the feeling that that'll be one of the techniques that starts to cap your ability. Like, if we try to force you to learn how to do it, right now, it won't be something where you get an instant better score than the previous score. You'll definitely have to practice that a bit to get used to it. And the other thing that's kind of like that would be, so hold on, let me just write this down first. Passive. Try to be smooth with micro adjustments. Be straight with your initial flex. Let's see, we talked about being smooth with the micros, being straight with the initial flicks, and now what we're talking about is speed up. You are allowed to be fast with initial flicks, and you can try to push speed to an uncomfortable extent, a slightly uncomfortable extent. Let me just edit that real quick. Slightly uncomfortable extent in order to practice moving fast. You are allowed to be fast with initial flicks, and you can try to push speed to a slightly uncomfortable extent in order to practice moving fast. But make sure to still have smooth micros. So that's what we just talked about. And now the last thing I want you to try and learn how to do is, remember when I said when you're making your initial flick, stop thinking of it as a flick and then a micro adjustment?
Gotcha.
I want you to, or I'm sorry, stop thinking of the target as having a location and a position. Remember when I was saying that? And just think of the location,
Yeah.
not the movement. I want you to start thinking about the movement again, but try to think of it only to the degree that it affects the location. So if a target's moving very slowly to the left, you need to be comfortable enough with your flick speed and all the things around that you're able to flick to the target without to where it's going rather than where it is, and not get kind of panicky and shaky from the movement. Like, allow the movement to influence your flick, but only to the extent that the movement influences the target, not like overthinking the movements and then moving all around and being like, oh, that's going to the left, right, shaking all around. Just, and if you're off by a little, just micro adjust. You can allow your movements, you can allow the target's movements to influence the way you aim at it. Alright, finally, you got one last cool technique you're allowed to do. So once you get good at the one I just talked about, like understanding movement and direction, if you like, you can start practicing moving your crosshair to where the bot's going, letting the bot fall into the crosshair, and then kind of just catching it there. So like move the bot really close to where the crosshair is going. Like don't like move it like where really move the crosshair really close to where the bot's going. Let the bot fall into the crosshair and then just click it. Like really close. Like it shouldn't be like a second out. It should be like a couple pixels up in front of it, like 10 pixels in front of it max or so. Just move it right in front of the bot.
Timing.
Yeah, like just let the bot fall into your crosshair, and that way you will. That's just an easier way to do things, and that can be practiced. You should still have the ability to make smooth micro adjustments for when things go wrong, for when things aren't great, and all that stuff. But that can help you a lot in game versus the panic shoot fast flick that works half the time.
Yeah. I think also it's going to take some used to getting to the setup, because here's some like passive runs I did with the old setup. So it's just kind of like I'll have to get used to setting a different way too.
So this is a new setup. Oh, right. What we made, the changes we made.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't think any of the changes we made will be too significant where it was just a monitor move.
Gotcha.
I don't think that should affect too much. I think, how long ago was the pass high score?
This was May 12th this year.
Oh, so that was 5 days ago. Wouldn't surprise me if you can honestly break that in the next couple days. And so first two are required. Always. Second, next three work on. Three work on them. Don't always have to do all of them. So for the pass-through techniques, right? The first two of them, every time you play pass-through, I want you to do them. Be straight with your initial flicks. Don't be super shaky and all over the place. And be smooth with your micro adjustments. The next three techniques are the kind of techniques where you're going to need to develop some skills to be able to do them effectively.
Mm-hmm.
So I want you to just practice playing them and learning the skills needed for them. But I don't want you to sweat over not being able to do them. Just practice it. Don't stress about it. And like you might do one at a time and like struggle to implement the fast flick and then into a smooth micro adjustment, and that's fine. What'll happen when you're doing like a fast flick into a smooth micro adjustment run is you might do a flick. You'll say, okay, that was fast, but my micro adjustment wasn't smooth. And then you'll do another one. Okay, that was a bit too slow, but my micro adjustment was smooth. And then you'll do a third one. After it, you'll be like, okay, that was kind of fast, and my micro adjustment was kind of fast. I like that. You'll just keep doing it, trying to maximize the number of times that you have a good flick with a good micro adjustment.
Mm-hmm.
And then once you get really good at having a flick at a relatively fast pace with a smooth micro adjustment, just define fast as meaning something 10% faster and start trying to push your speed again while still having the smooth micro adjustment. And that'll let you
Gotcha.
have your fast Overwatch flicks while still being able to move on to a target. And now hit done. And now I want to go to search up popcorn. You ever had a popcorn machine before?
No, popcorn makes me sick.
Oh. Well, that's unfortunate. You ever seen popcorn pop before?
Yeah.
So what's cool about popcorn is it kind of bounces up and down when it pops. And you know what else bounces up and down?
Am I supposed to relate to an
Widowmakers
Overwatch
with
hero?
grappling hooks.
Yeah.
So play the scenario and you'll notice, oh wait, this is just a Widowmaker scenario. Let's hope this is a good popcorn variant. Yeah, I like this variant.
Widowmakers don't move this fast.
Nope. It's the fun of popcorn. It's hard.
It's the thing in voltaic benchmarks I freaking hated.
Oh yeah, those benchmarks are interesting. Popcorn's a terrible scenario for a benchmark. I don't know why I think they've stopped putting it on their new benchmarks just because it's not a good benchmark scenario because the amount of hits you're expected on popcorn until you're at like a Maddie Overwatch level are like so low that the consistency you'd expect is low, so the standard deviation is pretty high. So what ends up happening is you get really high score volatility.
Jesus. God, that's hard.
Yeah, it's supposed to be hard, but at the same time, you were playing it really poorly, not because you're bad, but because you don't know how to play it. So what you want to think about is when a Widowmaker's fallen from the sky, you're not going to try and track her like it's like it's Control Sphere. You're just going to place your crosshair where she's falling and let her fall into it, or try to get close to it. You're not going to wait for her to hit the ground because unlike TAC FPS games, they're still accurate in the air, but you're not going to try and flick to her and end up trailing her for a while and then speeding up and then hitting her at her max velocity. You're just going to try and put your crosshair where she's going and hit her. And they'll usually try and hit their shots during the apex. So if you can place your crosshair on it at or near the apex, that is ideal because just like Widowmakers, popcorns are slowest at their apex.
Gotcha.
Replay it.
I was definitely tracking.
Yeah, don't track it. let it play. Focus, even if you don't hit a shot, just focus on having your crosshair placed somewhere where the bot will pass over it, and then focus on making sure you place it closest to the apex, and then after that, focus on hitting shots. So for the next couple days of popcorn playing, you don't even bother shooting. That's fine. Like, or you shoot like a couple bullets a round. That's fine. Just focus on getting close to the apex and then shooting. All right. So that was worse on all statistics, accuracy, number of hits, everything. But that's fine. I just want you to ignore actual statistics and focus on getting your crosshair to intercept the bot, if that makes sense, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of people tell me, "Oh, I want to hit the, I want to do." It doesn't matter. Just focus on this. Like, everyone thinks of accuracy as the mistake you can make because games give accuracy statistics.
Yeah.
But in reality, accuracy can be treated as the mistake, but the mistake should just be whatever you're trying to work on, whether or not you did it. That is what your mistake is, not your accuracy. So your accuracy, super low. Don't worry about it. Worry about the fact that you are almost never at the bot near its apex and almost never letting the bot pass through your crosshair.
Gotcha.
So in the past 7 days, how many of those days did you aim train on?
4 or 5. 4 or 5.
And in those 4 or 5 days, how many minutes of aim trainers did you play?
I'd say 20 or 30.
Okay, that's not bad. That's not bad. So, people, a lot of different people, right, will say, hold on a second.
Try that pillow thing.
All right, so what I was saying was, basically what we want to do is we want to create you a new playlist. So a lot of people who aim coach, I know, will say, "Oh man, I want to aim train every day of the week. I want to aim train 7 times per day. I want to aim train 2 hours a day." And I'll be like, "You don't want to aim train 2 days. You don't want to aim train 7 days per week. That's not good." Or no, you do want to aim train 7 days per week. That is good. What is bad is trying to aim train 2 hours a day, 7 days a week. Because if you have 2 hours a day, 7 days a week to lick dots, you need a social life, 1. 2, it's just fatigue, boring. And 3, most people have things they'd rather do than play Kovacs for 2 hours a day, 7 days a week. So what's going to happen is if you do that, you're going to find yourself quitting in the first week. If we can get you something that you already do, like 20 minutes a day, and just try to hold yourself to doing it every day that you play a game on the computer, you play aim training,
Yeah.
then we will have a good system set up. So what I'm going to do on your playlist, I'm going to put on 1 while 6 targets small, passive, 1 while 5 targets passive. We're going to put on popcorn. Popcorn's a great scenario. We showed that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put on control sphere. Those are the 4 scenarios we went through on this session. I'm also going to throw on extra control sphere 1. It's super self-explanatory. Play it like control sphere. It's a lot smaller and a lot slower, to the point where I'd say it averages out in difficulty and has the same difficulty as a regular control sphere. So it'll be super easy for you to understand. And what I want you to work on is in 1 target small. 1 target small is just a static scenario, so I'm just going to write static. Because if you want to change it out for any other clicking or Pokeball scenario, you are welcome to do that after a bit of time. So just focus on having a fast, straight flick and one straight micro adjustment. When you played 106 target small, you had a lot of multiple micro adjustments, which is not good. You want to have one micro adjustment in a static scenario. Just really focus on only doing one micro adjustment, because it's staying still. It's not, there's really no difficulty in the scenario. You should just be hitting it. So in tracking, that's control sphere and similar scenarios. We want to be smooth when approaching targets. Right? Smooth when approaching targets.
Yeah, smooth when approaching targets.
And we want to be stable. Is that the word? I'm trying to think of the word I want. Oh, yeah. Don't accelerate too much. Just the simple stuff we talked about. I'm just writing notes so you can remember it. And then the popcorn specifically.
At the apex.
Yep, popcorn. Focus on getting to targets at their apex or nair, and focus on hitting them there when they are slowest. Try to read them and get where they are going before they are there. So the optimal popcorn strategy for pure popcorn is just to hit the target before it starts to hold on, let me find the PG. Oh, right, it's PGTI on Voltaic. I'm going to give you the popcorn Voltaic easy, just because that's an easy popcorn, and I'll give you 2 runs of each kind of popcorn. So the optimal strategy for popcorn is to hit the target right after it leaves its apex. But since you're training for Overwatch, if you hit a Widowmaker right after she leaves her apex, she's already got her shot off and you're dead. So we want to make sure you're hitting the shots at or before the apex, slightly before. So even though that's slightly more difficult, I'd prefer you doing that. Let's see, what else? The 116 target small should go without saying, but if you want to do one more run of that where you try to be a bit more in control with the micro adjustments, we can look at that. Other than that, do you have any questions by any chance? Questions that you want, outstanding questions other than your setup, things you were wondering about aim training?
Aim training, aim training more or less. Yeah, the fatigue thing was a big thing, so you're saying 20 to 30 minutes is definitely ideal for it?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, 20 to 30 minutes was... Let me think for a minute. 20 to 30 minutes, it's ideal, not because if you were to aim train all day, every day, you wouldn't improve fast, but it's ideal because that's the most realistic thing to get in a lot of time over time.
Yeah.
And also be focused during that time, because you've got to be focused when you're aim training or it's just a waste of time.
On the focus thing, is it good to play music or should I not play music while
doing it? Oh yeah, play music, that's fine, that's fine.
Okay.
Playing music honestly helps a lot of people stay focused, because it's about your average focus across the session. If you're super focused on aim training for like 1 minute and then daydreaming because it gets dull after 2 minutes, then you're not actually focused. But if the music makes you, say 30% of your attention goes to music, that keeps you entertained, and as a result of that, you're focused for the rest of the session, you're chilling.
Gotcha. And then as far as the pillow thing, I did get another pillow. So should that be pretty much near the base of my lower back, like lumbar? Are you thinking it should be in the middle of your back?
So for me personally, I actually also have a chair like that still, because I haven't bothered to replace it, and I bought it before I knew how annoying these chairs were. And for me, what I do is I actually have one pillow just on the base of my lower back, and then I have another pillow like right above that by my shoulder blades, like kind of propped up. So I kind of do one of each actually, and I like that. If I were to only do one, I'd probably keep the upper pillow instead of the lower pillow. But
Hmm.
yeah, it's just compensating for a bad situation. So whatever's most comfortable for you.
Have you found a better chair than these things?
There's some really nice chairs out there, but they're really expensive. Like you can spend. There's people who pay 1,500 for a chair.
Jesus.
Like, I don't. I'm not spending 1,500 on a chair. So I've gone through a few chairs, but at the end of the day, you just gotta find something that works, and this is good enough. I don't play a ton anymore. I mostly just come to this chair to coach people
Hmm.
and record videos. So it's good enough for me. So I've kind of slowed down on my
Gotcha.
yeah.
And then let me turn. I was gonna say I lowered my chair a little bit. I don't know if you see
Mm-hmm.
if you can see my
Yeah.
arm. Is that still a good angle?
Your elbow looks above the table, so it shouldn't create any forearm pressure if you sit up straight. So that's fine.
Yeah. Okay. I was gonna say because I was just I don't know. It feels a little bit. For some reason, it just feels a little bit better.
Yeah, a good chair test is if you try to move up and down. If there's too much weight on your arm to comfortably move up and down, or you have to shrug up your shoulders to move up and down, you're putting too much weight on your chair needs to go up a little bit. Other than
Gotcha.
that, it's fine.
My issue beforehand was at my max height, where you said it was okay. I was always shrugging my shoulders, so I've tried to learn how to like let them lay down instead of
Yeah,
shrugging.
exactly. Yeah, you
That
don't want.
wasn't more or less just being at a bad position. I just had that bad habit.
I feel like that probably happened from a previous setup where you had to shrug
Yeah,
up. Yeah, but
it
that's good.
was.
So if you got no more questions, I've sent over your playlist. You should be able to access that. I'd recommend playing it in a random order just because playing the same scenario 4 times in a row versus once and then switching to a different one, then switching to a different one is pretty chill. If you don't know how to play it, there's just a little random shuffle button. You know how to play a playlist in random order, right?
Yeah.
All right, cool. Um, so yeah, just work on that, and I think it will help you overall. Keep me posted on how things go for you, and yeah,
When should I check in? As far as like when should I check in for probably doing another session? Like how long do
another
you think I should give
session.
myself? How long should I give
I
myself on the
recommend like
15th?
5 or 6 weeks. Since
Okay.
I'm off from school now for the semester, I'm able to go and actually look at. I'm actually able to focus more time to coaching. So I'll probably reach out to check in how you're doing in like 5 weeks. Just be like, "Yo, how you doing?" Been like 5 weeks from the session, and at that point, if you feel like, okay, I kind of want another session, we can do another session. If I
I
had
guess.
to guess, are you exclusively a Widow player?
No, I just play Widow Deathmatch because I always thought it was fun and it
All
was
right.
just easy
If
for
I,
me. So
mm-hmm,
I mainly play hit scan. So
yeah,
Kree, Soldier,
yeah,
Sojourn. I'm trying to get a hold of Sojourn,
yeah.
Widow. My highest rank was Masters with Tank, and I
Nice,
played Zarya.
nice.
So
Yeah, so if I had to guess, our next session would probably be a bit more track and focused and stuff like that, instead of focusing on the dynamic clicking techniques as much and with tracking as a side piece, we'd probably focus on like a lot of reactive tracking, assuming your dynamic issues get better. So yeah,
yeah,
there's definitely the Overwatch. Thing I love about Overwatch is there's so many different characters, so many different things you
so
can
many different movements.
work on, so many different movements. It's a cool game versus TAC FPS is all the guns do pretty much the same aim style. Like in Overwatch, you got Soldier, Widow, you got a lot of dynamic, a lot of tracking, and a lot of different kinds of those things. And it's just way more interesting in my opinion.
Yeah, I grew up playing CS:GO. That was my first
Yes.
game when I was like 14, and I kind of got off that game. Overwatch
Yeah.
just fell in my lap.
For me, my first FPS was Xbox Call of Duty. I didn't know how to aim, so I just used the shotgun and run up right next to people and click.
Oh, and if we're counting Xbox, yeah, I played MW2.
Oh man, yeah, that was great. So yeah, if you got no more questions, I'm good to call this session unless you got a question I can answer.
No, I mean the last thing I guess would just be
Yep.
the mouse thing. Do you think that's a big
Oh right.
difference?
Whatever you, I kind of trailed off there and probably forgot to answer the question. I do that from time to time. So whatever mouse is light enough that you can control it with your fingers while keeping it stable. If they're all light enough, you control them with your fingers while keeping
Yeah.
them stable and having the points of contact you like to have. whatever is most comfortable for you, just keep using. I don't think it's a big deal if you can't tell which mouse is best and you kind of enjoy using them all.
Yeah.
Just use whatever you want. Like at that point, just use whichever one's got the best color. Because if as a general rule in aiming, if you can't tell what the best thing to do is, then they're all equally fine.
Yeah. The old mouse that started all the GPX. This thing's heavy nowadays.
I know. I can't. Yeah. I started on the super light. Or no, I didn't start. My first good mouse was the super light, and I just. Now I can't use that thing nowadays either. It's just too heavy. A lot of people love it. I think it's. I don't like it.
That's what Maddie really likes.
Yeah, Maddie loves it. Maddie, that when I said a lot of people, I was actually had Maddie tweets in mind as I was saying that. But yeah, Maddie a lot of high level players really stand by the Superlight as the ideal mouse, and that's because I don't think finger motion is that important. I just think it's a very good thing to have. Just like how you can do a palm grip, you can aim with just your arm, just your wrist, and still get pretty high level. But if we're trying to optimize things, you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I like the GPX, but the
GPX
other
is
mouse
cool.
just have more. They have more to like for your palm, like what you're saying, like for the hybrid.
Exactly. All right.
Yeah, man. I appreciate you.
See ya. Bye. All right. So let's see. Are there any questions in chat? There are no viewers, so I'm talking to myself right now. Questions timestamp will be. Let me just edit the questions to the description. I have a Q&A timestamp real quick. Q&A dot dot 1 dot dot 02 dot dot 1. Let's do 30. Save. All right. So questions and answers. The only question in chat today was, which skills in static do you think holds back sub-GM players? So the thing about static scenarios is the targets are very small, and you want to hit them, obviously. The targets are small, you approach them, you shoot them, you hit them. What holds back people who are, let's say, sub-GM, sure, is usually the more general simple skills. And what do I mean by that? Well, for example, when I was talking to Europe a little while ago, he was talking about how he was really able to push his static scores to be at the time like one of the top few in the world. I don't know where he is now because I haven't looked at leaderboards in a little bit, but the thing that gave him the edge was clicking the target and avoiding that last bit of reaction time when clicking the target. Instead of confirming you're on target, just click the second you're on target. Basically what anyone in any FPS does, in game, like when you actually have to shoot fast, he applied to a static scenario where you have to be 90+% accurate. In aim training? No, do not do that. That's not how it works. That's not good. Unless you are already at a high level. At a lower level, you want to be accurate with the static scenarios. Cut your time by making your flicks straighter, making them faster, only doing one micro adjustment, having a smooth transition period between your flicks and micro adjustments rather than stopping a flick to start a micro adjustment. Steady, slow, or not, steady and in control. Fast, steady, in control. I wouldn't say worry about Bard Pill level accuracy. That a lot of time, like if you're going to get a high score, chances are you'll have the accuracy of a Bard Pill run, but I don't think the best thing for you is to run Bard Pill level accuracy every time you play, because I think it's good to be able to practice being a bit faster with your micro adjustments and kind of pushing speed towards the end of the flick and seeing where you miss. Still treating the misses as mistakes, because misses are bad, don't get me wrong, but they're not always the worst thing. They're not always the worst mistake, and a lot of times you can use them to practice. So, yeah, that's the little how to sub-GM, static player, whatever. Yeah. I gotta get better at answering questions with, like, more clear YouTube voice and, like, not stuttering, adding filler words and all that stuff, so that I can make these into streams, into videos. But that is the end of stream. Someone just poked their head in. I'm about to end the stream. If anyone else has questions, okay, cool. Goodbye, chat.